This country, under this APC regime, came to become the poverty capital of the world. It became the place where the minimum wage became the miserable wage for workers.
But if you think about Nigeria itself, it's an open prison.
Its economic policy templates offered to them by the World Bank and the IMF. The same policy that Babangida was using, structural adjustment program, trying to say we should tighten our belts. Don't support education, don't support healthcare, don't subsidize your people, let them pay for everything. They also would not tell you to pay them a minimum wage that can enable them survive.
It's been in the news anyways. So let's talk state of the nation. Can you tell us, analyze the state of the nation for us? Let's begin with that.
Well, I think at this point, there is no need for anyone to start analyzing the state of the nation. The Nigerian nation is analyzing itself in the stomachs of our people. It's analyzing itself in our petrol stations. It's analyzing itself in your minimum wage. It's analyzing itself in the state of your roads, the value of the Nigerian currency, Naira. So I don't think I can do justice to it than an ordinary person can do it. Because this is a period that a lot of people are feeling the pang of terrible economic policies. And this is why we always say from our days in the university that the biggest lesson that can be taught to people is what happens after they make decisions on who their leaders are. You get it is very immediate. It's like the karma of democracy or elections, as we call it. If you vote for a bad person, you are going to get bad results. And if you vote for a good person, you're going to get good results. And we are in a state, Ondo State, where we can say categorically, I'm not talking about this generation, I witnessed it, good governance. Because I went to school for free in Ondo State. They were giving us exercise books, textbooks. The teachers were well paid, relatively. In those days, we were given even uniforms. There's a bag we carry to school called portmanteau.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. We have so many things, pencils, erasers. We'll have this mathematics set, math set as they call it. So I have seen good governance before, and I can tell you that we have completely obliterated any outer of governance. We can't even say good because there's no more governance in our system. And this is not the Akure, for instance, I knew when I was growing up. It has all become like a terrible situation. The road between Ore and Akure has been awarded after I did this investigation some 20 times to dualize the road. Someone will just take the contractor, take the money. Like fellas say, government stays, contractor leaves. And you know how many people have been killed on this road? Yes, we've lost. I don't know if anybody knows those states who have not had some kind of loss. I'm just giving simple examples. Hospitals, we used to have general hospitals, dispensaries, health center. None of those things exist anymore in this country. So that is the state of the Nigerian nation. I have been to countries that are at war that are doing better than Nigeria. So I've been to countries that you probably never thought exist recently, whose currency values are better than that of Nigeria. Like Barbados, which is a small country of 226 kilometers, is the length of the country. I don't even think it's as big as Ondo State. Their currency value is better than that of Nigeria. So what is wrong with us? It is because of leadership. And I know that people hear this all the time. But I'm reiterating it again that we have been making terrible decisions. And we are paying for it now. And sadly, we haven't seen anything yet. It's going to get worse. if we don't do something about it and do it very quickly.
All right. So now you mentioned that we're paying for our deeds, that we actually elected bad leaders, and the question now is, now we are feeling the effect of whoever we voted for or whoever is ruling us now. Why do you think it's hard for Nigerians to take mean and decisive steps to actually say, we know ourselves, right?
Yes.
We know Omoyele Sowore, we know what you can do. Why is it so hard for us to actually say, this is who we are picking to lead us,
Yes.
especially when money is involved?
Well, you see, Nigeria did not become what it is today overnight. The kind of citizen you have today who collect money to vote in election were systematically and strategically created over time. Yes. And it started with economic policies that drove people against the wall. And then when you have no money to feed, you cannot have dignity. When you don't have a job that provides you some kind of income or revenue, it's very difficult for you to be able to stand up against the system. So what the economic system has done over time is to put the money that belongs to everybody in the hands of a few. Let me give you a very simple understanding of this.
Okay.
And it has to do with how much money Nigerians have in the bank. Nigerians that have up to 500,000 naira in the bank. Now we're talking about over 140 million bankable Nigerians who have bank accounts. There are only 7% of them. Can you believe that? That have up to 500,000 naira. Only 7% of the population of 200 million. That means that out of the 200 million people of this country, only about 14 million Nigerians have 500,000. The rest of them have nothing, next to nothing. So then you have a percentage of Nigerians, less than 70,000 of them have all the money that 200 million people should have. Some of them have over $1 billion in different accounts. Some of them don't even put money in bank accounts because they don't want it to be traced. Or there's a system of banking in Nigeria that is not known to the public. It's called trust banking, where some people will keep money with the MD of a bank. It's not in any computer. Anytime he needs it, he'll call the guy to make it available to you wherever you want. It's what it is. Trust banking, but in real terms, it's money laundering. So that is what created a society where people cannot vote for the right people. That is in addition to how they have bastardized the electoral system. Today, we are talking about an election in Edo State. I can sit in my house as of last night and tell you who will win the election. Not because people are going to vote, but because the election results have been written in advance. Forget about all the paparazzi. We arrested some thugs last night. Other one is just to fool the public for media, media show. It's
So
not.
are you saying the beavers, is like formality of a thing?
I participated in 2 elections in 2019 and 2022. Beavers is rubbish. Yes. Beavers is your Android phone that has 2 modes of modem and has just 2 applications. That's what Beavers is. So what is Beavers? It's a bimodal voters registration. It's pretty much a registration portal carried by the electoral officer. That is to say, it has a preloaded voter information. All right. And if you go there and you put your finger over it, it will show that it is you that is the person. But it still needs that human aspect. You know what they call garbage in, garbage out in computer.
Okay.
So if the electoral officer is this very smart one, he can actually select all of all the voters in any polling unit. and then unselect 4 and impute it into the system. The other part that makes Nigeria feel like, oh, maybe Beavers is a big deal, is that after the election, the Beavers has a camera that can take a picture of the result of the election and send it to INEC server. And you have to pray that the server is working, like it didn't work in 2023. So anybody who tells you that Beavers is there to solve electoral malpractice just lying to you. So, and even if the officer doesn't select all, he can still connive with somebody who has plenty of cards, because you can override the fingerprints. So somebody can actually vote without being present at the polling unit with Beavers. So it's a machine. What Nigeria ought to have asked for is electronic voting, which means that you don't even need to travel anywhere to vote. You have access to an app that is secure, and you log in, you have a special code, and you vote for your candidates. If we can do banking online, we should be able to vote online, because money is even more important than vote. So, and a lot of countries are using it. Have you heard about India? India has over 1.7 billion people population. They vote by 4 p.m. Their votes are counted. Brazil, as they are voting, the thing is even automatically showing. Yeah. But everything you say about our electoral process is predetermined to produce the kind of results we are talking about. So the leaders who appoint INEC chairman know that they is going to do their bidding. So somebody is sitting down now saying, oh, 2027. And you forget that the APC government has already populated all the federal commissioners with members of APC, card-carrying members of APC. So when 2027 comes and they ask you to be looking at the judiciary, your eye can only catch Apollo, conjunctivitis. Nothing will come out of it. But our electoral process don't even need to go to judges if they are free, fair, and transparent. And technology is awash everywhere to make that happen. Yes, even the Nigerian bar session votes online now. So why can't Nigerians vote online? But nobody's going to allow you to vote online because they know they cannot control the outcome of, an online process or electronic voting, as they call it. Because if you don't make it online, you can also make it electronic, where you carry the machine everywhere, and people will vote, and their votes will count, because that vote cannot be changed by Beavers. Beavers is not a voter's machine.
So aside the electronic voting, what do you suggest going forward? Because we still have election, those states in November, because it means people just go out there, stand in the sun, they will be accredited and vote, thinking their vote will count. So it means our vote does not count.
Let me shock you. The people who are going to rig your election in Ondo State, they are practicing in Ondo State now. Yes. The dogs, they are doing practice there. They are doing rehearsal there. The island officials who are going to do it, they will use Edo State as the testing ground. In fact, the Ondo State people, all of them are in Edo State now. You would think that is their state. There are a lot of them have moved to Edo State. They are not there to vote. They want to go and influence, so that when it's their turn, they can come and do what they have done in Edo State, in Ondo State. So it would have been great if I could tell you that elections in Ondo State will be free and fair as well. That's my desire, because we have a candidate in Ondo State, AAC, Kunle Ajayi, brilliant young person who, under any normal circumstance, anybody would vote for, instead of voting for the same old people. But they are not planning for elections. And we are going to know that at the end of the day in Edo State, what's on the, because that's a neighboring state. But I've disclosed to you an information that you can verify. That everybody that matters in Ondo State is in Edo State now. Not to vote, What would Ondo State officials be doing in Edo State? What would Ondo State talks be doing in Edo State? It's because they want to go and learn what to do here when they see a turn. Or to lend help to them so that they too can bring in their own help. You know the type of help I'm talking about.
All right, thank you. So let's talk about the Tinubu's policies now. What's your thought? Can we say they are good policies, implemented at the wrong time, or what do you say? What do you
Tinubu
think?
Came into office without any plan. You're hearing it from me. He came into office the same way Buhari came into office. Nothing. Clean slate, no plans. They just came and started with trial and error. And the only trial and error Nigerian leaders or rulers know how to do is economic policy templates offered to them by the World Bank and the IMF. Pretty much the same policy that Babangida was using in 1989 that led to anti-SAPRA, which is called Structural Adjustment Program, is the same one. They just removed the name, but it's the same one. If anyone was around in the 80s, the time they said we should tighten our belts, that is Structural Adjustment Program. And what does it say? It tells you don't support education, don't support healthcare, don't subsidize your people. Let them pay for everything. But they also would not tell you to pay them a minimum wage that can enable them survive. They'll tell you, it will bring about too much money in circulation. And that will affect your monetary policy. To the point that twice in this country, the IMF and the World Bank appointed our finance minister twice, one for Obasanjo and one for Jonathan. That's a woman, Omoyele, and they came here to finish the country. But if you ask average Nigerians now, they'll be praising Omoyele. It's our mama, but they are the ones who came and destroyed the Nigerian economic life through these policies I have told you about. So when they came and said, we don't need to subsidize education, the few doctors that were subsidized, who became doctors through free education, America and UK are now recruiting them from you. The few nurses we subsidize with our education, the education they said don't subsidize, they have now taken them because why? They need them because their own people are dying. And they haven't subsidized education in their own country. So they prefer the cheap nurses and doctors from here than their own, because their own they charge pretty good. And there's also a shortage of it. So you can imagine if we have continued with free education since 1979, when the Unity Party government came to Ondo State. Do you imagine the number of kids we would have who are lawyers, doctors, nurses? And you imagine how our health sector will be, our educational sector will be, how our roads would have been developed, would have produced definitely good engineers. But the World Bank came and said, we don't do that. So it's the same thing Tinubu is repeating. Take away subsidy of petrol. And then the engine room of any economy, even if you go to America, they were shouting small businesses. You have ruined the small businesses. And as a result, you have destroyed the security of your country. Because the moment people cannot go to farm and can't do small things, they will take to crime. It's natural. They will become kidnappers. They will become all kinds of things. They will be doing Yahoo. Because your politicians are stealing money too. And they are looking at, why would I be going to farm when I can steal? Or I can scam somebody? Or I can kidnap somebody? Yes. Or I can rob somebody? Because your leaders or rulers are doing worse things than that. So what's supposed to be our classrooms are now the personal mansions of our politicians.
Mm.
If you go in this estate, now there are houses that are not occupied. And the regular masses have nothing. But you remember the era of mass housing, where even Shagari has an estate in this Akure. So imagine if we have been building houses since 1983. Even if it is 10 houses we are building for the poor, multiply between 1983 in Ondo State till 2024 and 10 minimum mass housing schemes, and we have 10 houses. How many houses do you think we have in Ondo State alone? Everybody will at least have a place. Maybe not everybody, but a majority of our people. But today, you are at the mercy of dilapidated houses. And then on the other side of the aisle, mansions, obscene mansions. People build houses
empty ones
that is bigger than a hotel. And they'll be staying in one room inside. So people have houses and have 20 cars. Some people will even build houses for their cars within their compound. How many cars do you need? But we need mass transportation, so that people in their large numbers can travel from place to place and carry out their business. So I'm just breaking this down to you to know how they destroy the economy through structural adjustment programs. So all they know is to just go and meet the World Bank, or the World Bank tells them, "We are not the president, so we need you to do all these things that will make your people poor." Reason? When they produce their products, they need a place to dump it into. And that's what happens to you when you are not producing. Everybody will be sending their products to you. We were producing Volkswagen in Nigeria, Peugeot in Nigeria. Now we have become the greatest consumer of Tokumbo cars. Anybody that has a used car is sending it to Nigeria. If there's a flood in America and it carries all the car, and you see them underwater, you know that they are headed to Nigeria two months later. And we have not even calculated the environmental damage that does to us. So, if we want to return to production, we must also build our educational institutions, our healthcare system, because it is only this that can restore us to prosperity and economic and physical security. People are talking about security as if security will come from the sky. You can have the best police in the world. If people cannot eat, they can't cope with crime. But your policemen now have also become criminals because they themselves are poor and can't afford basic things. So a policeman that is on the road is not trying to catch criminal. He's looking for a victim that he can extort, or he or she can extort. So everybody is bitter because everybody has been ruined. And then you look at it, your minimum wage was lower than your minimum wage in 1971. The minimum wage in 1971 of a teacher was 120 naira. That time, 120 naira was a naira to 75, a dollar was 75 cents to a naira. So your minimum wage in 1971 at 120 is bigger than $120 of today. $120 of today is 200,000 naira or more at 165 and 1,650 naira to a dollar. So your minimum wage in 1971 was 200,000. In 2024, your minimum wage is 70,000 naira. Did you make progress? No. So if you retire in 1970 or 1985, I don't even want to go to 1970, you could buy with your what's it called? Your gratuity, that first payment you get after you retire, you could buy a Volkswagen because it was 5,000 naira. or you could buy a Peugeot station wagon. It was 9,000 naira. So you can, but today, if you are an ASP in the police and you retire, you will get 1,600,000 after working for 35 years.
Yes.
Guess what? Your lawmakers, the ones that call themselves senators and honorables, these dishonorable people, are collecting 29 million naira a month. So with their own salaries at the end of the month, they can buy 2 Camrys, used Camrys. Yes, but you have to work 35 years, and your first pay, which is gratuity, does not buy you a refrigerator. But guess what? It's the same policemen, when people say they want to protest, they'll go and shoot them. When they want to build our country. They are the ones who will be protecting empty houses all over the place. They are the ones on the road protecting the politicians. So I could just sit down here for another 5 hours, breaking this thing down to you. But I've reached a level where we can't keep paralyzing ourselves with analysis. We have to move from analysis to action. We have to decide whether we want to be free, or we just turn this place to another plantation, the slave plantation. And everybody will just be reporting to the slave owner every morning and say, where do you want to send us? And then you can get your padlock to padlock your mouth, even when you are working in a sugarcane factory. Farm.
All right. So
and that's what Nigeria is today, anyways.
So that brings us to this, before we actually go to, your comment on way forward now.
Yes.
Let's take a look at some statement credited to our former president now that are coming out now to actually speak to, our power. Now, when we talk about leadership, it's still, let's say now that President Tinubu, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has been in the news, calling out the president, saying all sorts of things to him regarding the state of the nation. Now, lately, we see Abdulsalami Abubakar, who actually also, called out the president on all this hardship issue and the likes of Kakanfo. These are leaders.
Well, I disagree with you. They are not leaders. Because majority of them are the people who brought us to where we are today. Particularly Obasanjo. Obasanjo is always playing to the gallery. He's probably one of the most blessed humans in Nigeria.
But he's actually saying the truth.
You can say the truth, but the truth cannot come out from a liar. Yes, that truth will not carry any energy or weight. And they are the ones who destroyed the country. They are the ones who laid the foundation for a Tinubu presidency through the kind of electoral process of Bioba, Obulese, in Yoruba. They are the ones who introduced do or die. They are the ones who brought some of the worst characters to become governors in the Southwest. This Obasanjo imposed a governor in Oyo State that was a former armed robber in the police, retired police, a policeman who was fired because he was doing armed robbery. Akala is the one who brought this man to Ekiti, Fayoshe. Now, even though Fayemi was not a better human being, so they did it also here in our state. They did it everywhere. What I'm saying is that if we want to start a new way forward, we cannot be playing, we can't allow people who destroyed Nigeria to be telling us that, without saying sorry, that, Nigeria is bad now. He suggested that everybody in position of power today should be in prison. I'm suggesting that he should be the number one, he should be the chairman of the prison that all of them are in.
Maybe that's his own way of saying sorry to Nigeria.
No, he's not, they're not sorry. Abdulsalam is the same thing. They depleted the treasury For the 9 months of 1 year that he was military leader after Abacha died. They are some of the biggest business owners in this country today. They own oil wells, but they have not surrendered their wealth. They are ill-gotten wealth to the people. They have not apologized, and they are now insulting us by saying, "Oh, some people should be in prison." Every one of them should be in prison, including Obasanjo, Abdul Salam. And I told Abdul Salam this in 2023 when he was doing his peace committee. I said, if it is not that you destroyed Nigeria, we will not be doing peace committee for elections. Because we had a peaceful election in 1993. You people annulled the election. If you had not annulled the election in 1993 against Abiola, Nigerians by now would have gotten used to having free and fair election, because that was an election that Nigerians had on their own volition, freely, and elected Abiola. Am I a fan of Abiola? No. But when the election was annulled...
Why?
Oh, because Abiola and Babangida and all the military, they were all together now. But when the election was annulled, we fought on the side of democracy and on the side of Abiola. Because if the people elect a thief, it's their right. So our own job is to ensure that the process for electing people is pure, and safe and credible. And that was why we fought for democracy when we were in the university as students. I was at the University of Lagos. I was about to graduate when June 12 was annulled. It extended my graduation by 2 years. I didn't finish until 1995, although I should have finished in 1993. In fact, we were on the eve of graduating when they annulled June 12 election. That political crisis took Nigeria by 20 or more, if not a whole century altogether, backwards. So it's the same thing that brought about an Obasanjo. If June 12 had been allowed to stay, even the cell phone technology we are talking about now was on the way to Nigeria in 1993. It was when AT&T discovered we had a political crisis that it took it to South Africa. And by the time it got to Nigeria, South Africa had already owned the technology. That's why your MTN is owned by South Africa. Yes. All the money you are spending on buying credit goes to South Africa every year. It would have stayed here. Because that technology was headed for Nigeria, mobile technology, mobile phone technology, first and foremost. But Abacha's regime ruined all that. So, but all of them, Obasanjo, Abdul Salam, all these former leaders, I don't want to hear from them. They should be ashamed of themselves and just go hide their faces, since nobody has sent them to jail yet. But they all deserve to be in jail. That's the only thing I agree with Obasanjo about.
All right.
But it includes him.
All right. So we'll talk about the recent end bad governance protest and the planned one for October, the fearless in October.
Yes.
So let's see if we can get 1 or 2 calls from people to actually join the conversation this morning. 0805 551 1110 or 0706 677 1822. My guest on Point Blank this morning is Omoyele Sowore, human rights activist and a politician who happens to be the 2023 presidential candidate of African Action Congress, AAC. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and your location. All right. Thanks, Ola, for joining us.
I'm so happy that you have to wear the program.
Thank you.
I've been following you. The war on Bahara reporter.
Okay.
I want to ask Mr. Sowore. You see that you are fighting for the good of this country. As a youth. And because I have been looking for the ability to ask you this question.
Okay.
We don't know, for me as a person, I don't know the business you have done that you have been successful. And as a politician, we have not had any post for us to see how good you are. But jump to the regional politics that you want to become the president of this country. I want to ask you, why can't you come to this thing and demonstrate That's my question.
All right.
But thank you very much. I understand. I hear this question all the time. People who say because you are not an experienced thief or an experienced murderer or an organization leader, you should not be able to become a national leader.
Please, let's take this call. Let's take one.
I want to just quickly say,
okay.
You can take the call.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. All right, comrade. Thank you. Thank you.
There has been a great abuse, probably to make Nigeria better. I really love you. I love you. And God continue to protect you. But that brother advice to you is to remain as part of the constitution. People that will not be allowed to live Nigeria with the best situation in the country. Unless the constitution review are also to the parliamentary system that was given to us by the colonial. Parliamentary system is there. It was because of that, how we tend to present that system. Because I used to pray for him. If you have people like him, you know, the political soul, that's where the country. I feel like things that people who talk who are so courageous. So it's bad that for your friend. So that's why they just think this politics alone and continue with activities like that of that people are doing now.
All right.
So we have something that we are all equipped.
All right. Thanks, comrade, for calling. Okay.
So, what has happened to our people, as I said, is serious. And part of it is this psychological shellacking of our people to the point that they have reduced everybody to nobody. And we didn't express that even in our thinking. I'm 54 years old. Obama became the president of the US at the age of 46. Yes. The US has had a president that was in his 30s before JF Kennedy. Some of them did not even do community activism. They did not create any businesses before they became leaders. Are you getting my point?
Of course.
The Awolowo's, the more like this, all the guys that you are talking about that made the Southwest tick, they were in their 20s when they became leaders in this place, in this our Southwest, in Ibadan here. They were not business people. Even if you want to talk about business, I've set up a successful business with Sahara Report as a global brand. Most of the leaders or your rulers today have never set up a business before. Forget about the fact that they own businesses which they convert the money of the public to create. That is not setting up a business. It is stealing and claiming that you are a businessman. Are you getting my point? So, but when you keep hearing this from our people that, oh, national politics is too big for you, it is part of what they have done to our psyche as a people. If you have a child and you're a bricklayer and your child said, I want to become a nuclear engineer, I want to produce nuclear bombs, will you say that he must continue as a bricklayer? No, you will go and borrow money even from your fellow bricklayers to send him so that he can achieve that ambition. What do we want Nigeria to become? A better country. How do you achieve it? Great leaders. Who are great leaders? People with ideas. People who have vision. People who are courageous, bold. They are the greatest leaders of the world. The greatest wars that were fought in the world were fought by very courageous people. In fact, there was a president of the US who was courageous, but he was without legs. He was disabled. I forgot his name now. People in the US did not know that he was disabled. Yeah? Roosevelt. But they were the ones who executed some of the greatest deals in the US that made the US to become the greatest country. The man had no legs. But nobody knew because the wife and the political class covered it up. So, but you're hearing people say, what business have you done before? What business has Tinubu done before to become president of Nigeria? Tell me his business, other than the one he was doing in Chicago. Tell me which business Jonathan was doing before he became your president. Tell me which business Yar'Adua was doing, other than being the junior brother of Yar'Adua, the late Musa Yar'Adua. Tell me the business Buhari was doing other than being military man in Nigeria, which is like a civil servant. So you've had all these experienced leaders and they have put you, even if there's nothing that can convince you Nigerians about how to change course, even try it. Let's vote for a bricklayer since all the graduates have disappointed us. As long as they have common sense. That is how leaders are voted for all over the world. If you trust me enough to come and be governor of Ondo State, why is it that you can't trust me to be the president of Nigeria? Is a governor not a president managing a smaller state? Are you getting my point? But at any rate, I don't want to be your governor, but we have a governorship candidate for you in the election from our party. Vote for him if it is true that you are looking for change, or you believe in me, or you believe in my ideology.
Let's take this call. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, your name, please. Okay.
Good morning, Samuel. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Same here, man.
All right. You can still join the conversation via 0805-551-1110 or 0706-677-1822. Those are the lines to actually call to be part of Point Blank this morning. Now, I would like to ask you, while we await other callers to join the conversation, if you won't be a serial contestant like, Atiku, who actually was jumping from one party, cross-carpeting to the APC, move back to the PDP. If, it's like one wants to correct some things in the system in Nigeria, and the platform you've been contesting on, it's popular, let's say, but people are not actually,
because we no longer conduct elections in this country. It's a selection process.
I'd like to know maybe you.
But here is what is important.
Okay.
And it's important that you get this clear.
Okay.
Yeah. A country that needs fixing do not need people who are quick to give up. Okay. So if we will take my entire life
to contest,
it will not be a contest.
Okay.
I'll keep doing what my conscience tells me is right, so that this country can get it right.
You're not ready to align with maybe bigger parties that you actually.
There are no bigger parties.
Have the same
These
vision.
are just business platforms. That is why you mentioned Atiku. Atiku can go to bed as PDP and wake up as APC. I don't want to be like that. You understand? There's one of our governors in the states, Mimiko, former governor. He has joined every party in the world. Yesterday I heard he's also in APC again. These are the people you call carpetbaggers. But this is not principled policy. Then we have all decided, we've all known that principled politics is what can take Nigeria out of the doldrums. The kind of politics the Adjacents played, because I got to see Adjacent's house before he died. We went there. I also went there during his burial. The man had a room and one rickety bed. He was using lamp. But it was because of Adjacent that I went to secondary school. And Obafemi Awolowo's house is still there in Ikene, because they weren't after the big things of life, the great things of life. They were after substance. And that's what is important, that we start having this conversation with our people. Because some of the things that our people are even saying, the way they process information and the way they put it out, will ruin even the brain cells of their children. When you are telling a whole generation that go and contest for councillor. Let the people who we don't know their age and their pedigree continue to be your president. But what? When you have problems, you are looking for people to fight for you. They will be looking for, where's that boy from Ondo State, Sowore? Where has he been? There are people who are still asking for Soyinka to come and lead protests. Soyinka is 90 what? Probably close to 100. He just turned 90 years old a few months ago. There are young people in Nigeria who are still asking Soyinka to. But if you had voted for Soyinka when he was young, Soyinka would have used his stubbornness now to fix this country. Our brother mentioned that I should continue to be an activist because Gani was an activist. Gani was an activist, but Gani also ran for election, contested for president in 2003. But between Mobolo Onduro here and Ondo, they were beating him up because he has no money to give to our people. Gani has died now, but his name remains forever. The people who collected money to disgrace him, they are enjoying the country that the people they voted for. So you must change. I'm saying I have no apologies to anybody when it comes to saying we are all entitled to aspire to be the best. Okay. And we ought to have the best country. All right. If not anywhere, the continent of Africa.
We have another caller. Good morning to you. Good morning. Your name and your location, please. Okay. Oh, okay.
First, I must appreciate Mr. Omoyele Sowore for his knowledge, and I would like to tell him that he's not the only that has interest in the progress, in the real progress of Nigeria. And I'm also to say that I am a great passionate follower of who is Omoyele Sowore. I must say, we need people like Omoyele Sowore to begin to set the course of this nation. I've probably watched his progress. I've probably watched his interest in the real progress of Nigeria. But unfortunately, our country is filled with myopic minds. But what we can do now is to begin to see how we can propel the goodwill of Omoyele Sowore for the progress of Nigeria. I must also say, that I was the only one who voted for him during the last presidential election. And I believe there are more people like us who share the same sentiment to want the real progress for Nigeria. It's not about religion, honestly, because religion again is another issue that has really messed us up on this one. So for good, contact and join with some of your units, and I really want to contribute to see that the PAC, which is the only opposition party, gets to that point whereby we know that we have done our best to see that Nigeria gets to what we be.
All right.
To be the greatest in Africa and even in the world.
All right, thank you. We appreciate you for your call this morning. 0805 551 1110 or 0706 677 1822. You can join us live on Glow 99.1 FM Akure on our Facebook page. You can drop your comment for us as well on our WhatsApp. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Your name and your location, please. All right. Let's have your comments. Oh. Okay. Yes, we can.
And again,
All right, let's take one more.
Yeah.
So that we can work through it together. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Oh, okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and your location.
This is calling from Manchester for that.
All right, Emidure, please can you turn down the volume on your listening device?
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right.
Can you hear me better?
Yes, I can now.
Unfortunately, we could not hear your guest when it started.
Okay.
In fact, I have to send a message to you that you speak louder. However, at the time we started hearing clearly, let me just comment on the video I've had of what you have said so far.
Okay.
He said something about people who have not managed any business before that can become, before they become president or become whatever it is.
Mm.
Well, I think people like Ajayi was never a businessman. The problem we're having is that we have not got the right people who are committed, who are dedicated, who are ready to serve and work for development and progress of Nigeria. We have not got them there. But I know the Almighty God will work. Okay, they are talking about Shore today. And Shore interest. We know what this country is, what the leaders are, what we can do and do. Only God can make things to be good. We are ready to go to any length to ensure that we will not get there. However, we are praying the Almighty God will push forward in Jesus' name. We are good of a very useful and committed and dedicated Jesus.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Temidire. So we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. One of your callers was asking a question about, he said, each time I lose election, I call for revolution. It's not true. I have been a revolutionary person since the 90s. The problem of Nigeria also is that our education system has lost a vital subject called history. So we don't know the history of anybody. Our understanding of history is what we see on Facebook and Twitter. And the leaders who make sure there's no history in our curriculum, they know what they are doing. That is why somebody will say that I'm calling for revolution. I have been at this for 35 years or more. I started in university in 1989. Are you listening to me?
Mm-hmm.
I was part of every struggle in this country against military rule. I left Nigeria in 1999. Lived in America for a very long time. But while I was there, I was also part of the struggle to make Nigeria a better country. So even the word revolution now was part of my campaign that started in 2018, that we want a revolution. So, because, don't let me lie to you, without a revolution, what the last speaker, caller, said cannot happen. And the revolution is that if you want good people in this country, you have to wage a fight against bad people. Otherwise, they will never allow any good thing to happen. And the more we have good people flourishing in Nigeria, the more you'll be getting the kind of calls you're getting. People say, yeah, let's go to Ondo State. Now let's manage one place, you know. And he also asked, what have you done for Ondo State before? It's part of the problem. Because we have reached a point where people think that if you are not doing giveaway online, you are not doing anything for your state. They don't understand that the struggle for democracy was a struggle for humanity in this country. But even things as simple as, I don't even want to go there, simple as when Ondo State was held to ransom by Akere Dolu's wife and his son, and all the politicians, PDP and APC, all of them were cowering here. Well, the ones who came and liberated them. They came and did a protest in this town. The Oba of Akure closed the hall. They told them we entered, they had to open the hall. It was the threat of a protest that we planned that made them to hand over power to Ayedatiwa.
But you weren't bullied when you actually protested.
Who told you I wasn't bullied? Who told you I wasn't bullied? Why did the DSS tell the Oba to seize the hall that we paid for? It was when they realized that they can't bully us that they stepped up. They had to hand over power to Ayedatiwa, now Ayedatiwa, before we came into...
How do you mean? You can't change someone's name on air like that.
No, we know ourselves. So they had to hand over power to him because of the threats of the fights that was coming in Ondo State. But all the politicians here, they all cowered. Some of them ran out of Ondo State. They were threatening us that they would kill us if we arrived Ondo State. But we came, and now Ondo State has transited power. But I'm telling you that our people's understanding of what is substance is also part of the problem. Otherwise, nobody will ask you, what have you done for Ondo State? Is it not bad enough to even be born in Nigeria and survive? Is that not a struggle itself?
Oh, okay.
But it is not the yardstick. That's what I want to say. It's not the yardstick. The yardstick he's probably talking about is for me to be saying that I did give away I did scholarship. If I give scholarship to people, I hate to even announce it because philanthropy is not supposed to be political. Okay. So, but their own understanding of what have you done for Ondo State is, did you build a big mansion in Ondo State? Are you have you stolen money that you are distributing to people? And then the last thing he asked is,
steal money before you can actually.
Most people who are doing philanthropy,
lives.
The political philanthropy in Nigeria is people who steal money and are giving handouts to people. The last thing he asked is, last time you called for a protest, you are not here. I am here now. And I'll be part of the protest. And I hope you come out too. So, because there's no protest that I have not been part of, which has impacted Nigeria. But sometimes I have planned protests that I could not attend. Either because I'm arrested, like 2019 when we did Revolution Now. I was arrested 2 days before the protest. I was in detention during the protest.
You actually picked by the DSS on your
right. So even on this one, the DSS was waiting, not DSS, but it was the DSS who told the immigration to arrest me. But when immigration picked me up, DSS claimed to them that, they are still checking their records. So they let me. And I could get arrested at any time. I'm not worried about that. But this country, our own country, whatever we take, we must give it to make the country work.
Oh, okay.
That's our promise.
All right. So now let's go to, let's pick this before we actually. Good morning. Good morning. Your name, your location, please. All right, Mr. Olu.
Omoyele. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right.
I will. So I have this question.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Morning to you. Your name and where you calling from? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's in the studios with us. Mm. Oh, okay. Thanks for that. Okay.
The only problem, that is because the person is the fact that even the Nigerian is trying to liberate, you understand? They are not ready to be liberated. I would like to say this on air, but I know several things that this man has done in trying to get information about our so-called Nigerian politicians, you understand? And he made it available for us on his, his news outlet. Reporter. You understand? And people will just say, the same Nigeria is fighting for, they will say he's blackmailing these politicians, and when he gets money from them, he will not publish information. And that is false. You understand? You see people that they use their life. This man is in the US. It's okay. So when you really care about those of us here in Nigeria, you understand that he keeps coming, he keeps saying things, you understand, about this country, for the betterment of the country. But the so-called Nigeria that is trying to fight, he has not let it be like this, like I said earlier. You see people say that God is providing money for me and I can take care of my family, I can pay my children's school fees. I don't care. You understand? You get
All right.
stages like what God is providing.
All right, thank you.
So you will change our mentality. This problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you too for calling us on the program. Okay.
Yeah, so the question about ethnicity and religion was raised by the caller before the last. It is true to a large extent, but it is also part of the tools of division that has become endemic, used by our leaders. I think there's a popular saying that was Kamala Harris repeated recently. She said, leaders that have no vision like to use division. Yes. And it's sad that ethnicity is very, very well used to guide religion. But the truth is that the problems affecting us do not respect those boundaries. When you are hungry, hunger doesn't care whether you are from Midori or whether you are a Kale or a Niger. The bad road does not respect the car of an Elijah or an Ibibio or a Hausa person. Bad hospitals don't care about where you come from or your religion. But these are tools for division. That's why I stated earlier, when this conversation started, that what Nigeria became was created over time. Yes, systematically, it's like they created the citizens to think the way they think now. It didn't start overnight. Even the educational system, when they were destroying the educational system, they knew that it would produce a huge population of persons who cannot think for themselves. And those are the easiest people to govern. The most difficult people to govern in the world are educated people. So if you want to destroy any country, take away the educational system, make it expensive, unaffordable, start giving people education that they cannot afford to pay for. Then you have a citizenry that is very, very malleable. And anybody under that circumstance can become their ruler. And he'll be praising the person. So that is the problem. If you look at it though, psychologically, or even contemporarily, the youth that we are talking about are no longer as religious as their parents. Yes, religion is facing a crisis of participation from youth. If people go to church these days, young people, they are not going to church to serve any God. It has become a social space. That's why every church must bring a comedian so as to entertain and titillate the young people, because they are more interested in entertainment than salvation. And the reason is that they also understand that the churches are not trying to save society, that they have become part and parcel of the oppressive system. The same thing applies to all kinds of religions, including now even our traditional religion. They are using Oro to threaten people who want to do protests. How people are going to respect our traditional religion? So it is as a result of this that we keep telling people and we keep educating. This our work is very difficult in terms, because we have to do two things. We have to fight with one hand, and we have to use the other hand to educate, and or sometimes even push away those who are fighting against their own interests. Because that's where Nigeria is. The people themselves have reached a point where they have become the army of oppressors against themselves. The oppressor don't need to even oppress. They'll just tell them, go and fight yourselves. They'll distribute machetes. Before evening, they have killed half of themselves. But that is what the Nigerian society was created to become by these successive leaders who were ruining our economy, ruining our education, ruining our infrastructure, ruining our healthcare, and ultimately getting Nigeria into almost one of the most ungovernable states in the world.
All right. So now, where we are today, we should be profiling solutions to, the way forward now for Nigerians. Now, don't you think, like we have the All Progressives Congress now, we have parties that came together that merged then, to wrestle power from the PDP. Now, don't you think political parties, smaller parties, and even your party should actually come together, merge to, wrestle power from the sitting government?
The question is power. Anybody can go and get power. But our duty is not to get power. Our duty is to empower people. So, as a result, if you want to empower, you must have ideological clarity and convictions. You must be very clear in terms of programs and ideas on how to save your own society. What the PDPs and the APCs do is to go and, their own merger is to go and take power. And when they take the power, they use it for what they got the power exactly for, their own personal interest. Are you getting me?
Of course, yes.
We are not in that. That's why we cannot engage in any kind of merger with so many of these political parties that are in existence now. Because we have been in meetings with them, we've spoken to some of them. So many of them don't even understand what it means to serve. They're not here to, they have it all twisted. Most of them are about, how can I be the next big thief? How can I be the governor who will be riding around with 200 escort policemen, 50 cars, make my family rich, make the people poor. That's what most of these guys are. Some of the parties you see exist for that reason only, to make themselves available like prostitutes during elections, to engage in matter after they have been paid, to merge or to endorse candidates of the opposition. We are a principled opposition party in the country. We are opposed to everything PDP stands for, and APC, Labour Party, and several of these political parties that are out there. They are the same. The only difference is that their flag, their names, and logo may be different, but characteristically, all of them are the same. They pursue the same goal and same agenda. And that's why they don't have problem switching every day. That's why gerrymandering is not a problem for them. Because they have, and if you look at PDP, a lot of people were in PDP and now in APC. A lot of people who were in APC have gone back to PDP. They are the same. So I have forgotten how many times these days, if I meet people who used to be PDP, I have to ask them, which party are you now? And you discover that several of them have changed parties several times. So, but we are not that. We stand resolutely for ideas that can liberate the people of this country, that they can return peace, progress, and prosperity to the Nigerian people.
All right.
Because we know it is a possibility to have a country that works on the continent of Africa, and the country that we can be part of globally.
All right. Thank you so much. My dear listener, in case you are just joining us, you're listening to Point Blank on Glow 99.1 FM. We're transmitting from Ijapo Estate in Akure. And today on the program, I've been playing those two, the 2023 presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, who is also a human rights activist in person of Omoyele Sowore. Now let's talk about the end bad governance protests. We actually know and see how it went there. Now, there is another plan for Fearless in October, which is next month.
9 days.
Can we say the planned one for October is because we didn't get results from the end bad governance protest?
It makes sense to say that people fight because they have a goal, and to reach that goal, you fight. It makes sense to say that. So, it was announced as soon as end bad governance was concluded. But then bad governance was actually designed to last for 10 days at first. And we had said that if by the end of the 10 days protest, we don't get the results that are desirous for us, because we have 15 demands, now 17, we will be back on the streets until we win. So we'll be back again in October, which coincidentally is Nigeria's Independence Day. And also, the month of October, I remember, was the ESA's 20th of October, it's the day Nigerian Army went and shot innocent kids in front of the Lekki. So all of this morphs into a very significant month of action that has also historical significance to us.
Okay, so like you said just now that you had 15 demands from the government, now 17. How many of these demands can the government meet? Because we can't say, we can't ask the government
so we're not asking, we're not making demands on governments to pick and choose what they want. What we did was we sat around.
I'm actually going to ask you, I was going to ask you what the government can do to actually avert this forthcoming.
It's not my business. It's the people who have to push for what they want. We sat around and looked at it and said, look, we could ask for reduction in food prices, and they can bring food, but that will not solve the foundational problems of Nigeria. It won't solve the institutional problems. So we put all of this together, including the request to have a brand new Nigerian constitution that is made by Nigerian people. Because the 1999 constitution was what I call the SOP of the Nigerian military, song of praise. It wasn't made by Nigerian people. And the constitution has a preamble that says we the people. So if the constitution ab initio wasn't made by the people, and you know the process is that document is a fraud. So, and we have other demands, that have deep economic significance, that can improve security, that can improve the well-being of the people. We have demands as far as education. We have demands that relate to energy. We want 24 hours of electricity in this country. So we cannot pick one demand and leave the rest if we really, really want to solve our problems. And that's why when we put out the demands, people are like, wow, where did you guys come from? How did you figure it out? Nobody faulted a single demand. And I think being confronted with just the quality of the demands and their inability, the demands expose the underbelly of the regime that they have nothing to offer. You remember that after the NBAC governance protest, Even some elders went to Abuja to me and said, these demands are quality demands, can we start discussing it? But he had no answer for himself for 2 years later. But we're not doing demands to meet with government. Let's be very clear about that. So that people don't get it wrong. If they say they are calling for dialogue and you don't see me there. They're not doing demand of let's go and meet inside the program.
Now,
these are demands that has to be undertaken transparently.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
addressed immediately.
I wanted to, clarify this because in some of the posts and the things we see on social media, not totally 100% maybe truth at times. We see part of the demands that Nnamdi Kanu should be released.
Yes. And the reason we demanded for his release is that we have come to understand that Nigeria is falling apart. And the favorable unity of Nigeria is threatened by that misadventure in the East, which is the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu. If you go to Southeast Nigeria, that part is no longer part of Nigeria. And if anybody wants a united Nigeria, as they always sing, you have to address the problem there. You cannot sing the national anthem in the Southeast anymore. You cannot host the Nigerian flag in the Southeast. A lot of states in the Southeast, police stations are closed down. Only the state's police commands are functional. They have been replaced by non-state actors. So we're not part of people that will sit down and deceive ourselves. That if you keep Nnamdi Kanu, Nigeria will continue to flourish. It's not going to work. But beyond just Nnamdi Kanu, there are still people from NSAS who are in detention. We also ask for their release. Now they have added people from End Bad Governance. We also asked for their release. We also asked for the demilitarization of the Southeast. And this is why Nigeria is such a hypocritical place. A governor of Katsina came out last week and said there are only 36 policemen in a state that is ridden with banditry, and they have only 5 functioning guns. We are not interested in that, but because you hate the sound of the name Igbo, yeah, you have every kilometer in the Southeast as a military checkpoint. Why is there no military checkpoint in every kilometer in Katsina? And why is it that you can take terrorists, Boko Haram members, take them to a camp and say you have radicalized them and put them in the army? But the guy who says to you, I want freedom for my people, you put the person in jail perpetually. Even when Nigerian courts are saying, let this guy go, you refuse. They've done it up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said his bail was violated by the Nigerian military because they went to his house to shoot and kill people. You refuse. So you are using Nnamdi Kanu you are holding Nnamdi Kanu to ransom. Whereas other parts of Nigeria where they are equally dangerous, so to speak, when I say dangerous, in quotes, freedom fighters, you embrace them. You have them. There are freedom fighters or people you used to call militants in Niger Delta who are now part and parcel of the federal government. When Nnamdi Kanu is in jail, exactly for what? They said, oh, he did this, he did that. Come and prove it in court. And the reason I say that is because I know them. It was the same way they carried me in 2019.
But to some people,
I said, oh, Sowore was trying to do this. They even lied against me that I went to Dubai to pick $100 million to come and overthrow Buhari. And when I go to DSS, I said, if I have $100 million, can you arrest me? If I have $100 million, I will go and buy my own country. And do you know what $100 million? Then they found that I've never been to Dubai before. Never. So that is what they do. They will demonize people to you and then ask you why you are asking for justice for them. So we believe that the tension in the Southeast can be immediately reduced if Nnamdi Kanu is released. And he has said it even in court, that if he's released, he will go and bring peace to the Southeast. He was nobody put a gun to his head. He said it.
Do you know that to some people now,
Yeah.
as we speak, your own release is a kind of, sentimental stuff, like you're from the same.
It's a lie. Was I not released under Buhari? I released under Buhari. I spent 5 months in DSS detention under Buhari. They had to release me because I did nothing wrong. And they knew it. And they continued a farcical trial. They tried me for 5 years. Brought only one witness to court, a DSS guy who, after he gave the testimony, came to me, hugged me, and said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know this is what it brought me to do." I don't believe him. That's they will lie to you just to make you feel good.
Okay.
So, but I'm just telling you that has nothing to do with my release. Had been done already. It was a done deal because there was no case against me. It was when they discovered that they have no evidence to present in court that they went and withdrew their own case. Are you getting my point? And Buhari had run away from my case even before he left power. So it had nothing to do with, but it's part of, the conglomeration of the lying republic, as Chika likes to call them. They will cook up something, When I was not in Nigeria, they said, if you come back, I will join you. Now that I'm back, they say, if you want us to join, go and bring your wife and children. If I bring my wife, they will say I should go and bring my grandmother who died last year. They always have excuses not to fight for liberation. But that's where I'm not here to argue against those who are scared.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are genuinely scared to fight for anything in this country. And they will always be like that. But we also can make an argument for those who want to genuinely fight for a better country. That if you're their father, let your children fight. When I say fight, we are not carrying arms against the government. In fact, if we were carrying arms, we would be more respected. Because all the armed insurgents in this country are the most respected people in this country now.
All right. So to make the forthcoming protest peaceful, what are you putting in place? Because
it's an oxymoron to say that the protest is not peaceful.
Because the police actually said that is not aware of the
the police don't have any reason to be told when citizens want to protest. So part of the problem is that we also have problem of deficiency of leadership in the police and our security forces. Otherwise, you need to write a letter to them. Are their wives not going to the market to buy?
You know what happened in the last end bad governance protest?
What happened?
Shops were looted.
Where?
In the northern part.
In the northern part, were you there?
We saw in the news it was on a national television.
Because it was APC that were looting their shops in Kano.
How do you mean it was APC?
The governor of Kano came and said the protest was peaceful. They met with the governor. But then some APC guys who had issues with him arranged another protest on where they looted, they looted a particular place owned by the NCC. How's it that in the whole of Kano, where you have meat market, you have supermarkets, it is only the NCC that was looted? Because they arranged the looting. Do you know why? The place was supposed to be launched. Maybe the place is not ready. They need to loot it so that they can cover up the corruption in the place. But an APC leader was named as the person who spearheaded that branch of the protest. The rest of the protest continued even after the looting, the so-called looting. But what did the police do on the Saturday when people were carrying leaves? Are those ones looting too? Didn't you see the video of people being rammed into with armored tanks? I mean, why are we here changing the story, the narrative? You go to Kaduna, it was when police started shooting at protesters that it became violent. Everywhere else, it was peaceful. In Abuja, the governor, Wike, got an order that people should be at the stadium. People were gathering at the stadium. We still brought police, DSS, and talked to beat them up. In Lagos, at Ojota, they got a court order that people must stay at Ojota. Weren't your journalist colleagues beating up at Ojota? Didn't you see it online?
We saw that.
Was that done by us, the protesters? No. So I'm saying put the narrative where it belongs. The government is the one who was responsible for the violence that was visited on protesters. And after that, who did they arrest? What were their charges? Treason. They charged people for treason. They even wrote it in the charge sheet. Treasonable fellow, treason, because they were carrying placards trying to overthrow the government. People want to overthrow the government, do they carry placards? Yes. It was yesterday that we got some of them released from prison after they were charged with this false treason trial. So, in my narrative now, which is correct, which you know, who caused the problem? The government, the police. And why? Incompetence. Now they are telling you that they are not aware of the protest coming up. How would they be aware? Last protest, we even sent lawyers to them, Femi Falana and Buhari Buruwa. Buhari Buruwa is from Ondo State, SCN, to explain to them where we would gather. What did they say? They said they are not interested. But they said we call off the protest. That's the only thing they want. That is this current IG of police. But the law is very clear that the moment police are aware of protest, they go and protect the protesters. That is what in Nigeria, their own constitution, the constitution they are practicing, that's what it says. Nobody has the right to tell protesters how to conduct themselves. It's a protest. And the idea of peaceful protest or not, when somebody announces he wants to protest, he has already told you it's peaceful. Otherwise, he will not call it a protest. He might use whatever hashtag he wants. You can call it Mother of War protest, or you call it Days of Rage. If you are not enraged, why would you protest?
So Adegboruwa was part of, this Fearless in October, because he actually said something during the last protest that he regretted, being part of.
He was not part of NSA governance. Adegboruwa was a comrade of ours from the university days.
Okay.
He was to write a letter to the IG on our behalf, and which he volunteered to do.
Okay.
And when that was over, he started making personal pronouncements with regards to how long he thinks the protest should be. There were disagreements over that. He couldn't have said what you saw that said he regretted was actually something that was printed by the APC people. And he denied it. You should go and check. He wrote a press release saying he never said he regretted working with us. He never said it. But they put out false information. It's just like if you go to Edo now, 2 hours to the election, they will say somebody has withdrawn. The person will be running around to tell the press. They went to Abuja and said there's a court order that has disqualified the candidate. It's not true. It's part of the general propaganda that they use to demobilize people. That's what they did to Epo by saying he never said he regretted working with us. The only thing is that he had personal opinion as to how long the protest should last and what we should do. And he was asking that maybe there should be further dialogue with the government, but never said he regretted. I mean, we are still in touch till tomorrow.
Is the Fearless in October a date thing, or how long would that take?
He said Fearless on October starts on October 1 until we win. So if we win by 12 noon, we'll be half day.
It's okay because all these demands can't be met in a day.
Who told you? You are not the person in government. The government has not told you they can't meet the demand. So
all right, so
why don't you?
Let's see if we can still
and these are people's demands, not government demands.
We'll join the conversation. Good morning. Good morning. Please turn down the volume on your listening device. Amen. Thank you. It's okay.
Good morning, Jajalaye.
God will continue to guide you. I like how you come to Odosia, I even come to POS to come and meet our sister.
Thank you.
What you have said is very good, and you are someone that fears not. You make those who have no mouth to speak up. You speak for them. The only one thing you did one time that for me personally I don't like, but fine. You do other things that I like, and you are one of someone that supports you. 100%. Many people can talk about that. I think of course that you to support you with. The one that you do that I don't like is when you engage Akeredolu, that you want to protest against him at that time. And when you have a challenge, Akeredolu stands by you, even when Akeredolu was APC. And it's still facing Buhari that is not supposed to lock you, it's not supposed to do this.
Okay.
When Akeredolu has a challenge,
And the governor of Ondo State.
Okay, you want to react to that?
Yes. No, this is what we talk about principles. Even if Akeredolu were to be my father, what they did towards his the end of his tenure is disgraceful. I would have fought against it if he was my father. Reason is that Akeredolu himself, when he was he was a president of the Nigerian Bar Association. A similar problem was occurring on the national level. Yar'Adua was sick. And the wife of Yar'Adua was holding Nigeria to ransom with some people. We used to call them the Yar'Adua Kappa in those days. Akeredolu took a principled position and asked Yar'Adua to hand over to Jonathan. Most of you did not know that Yar'Adua had been brain dead 5 months before they brought him back to Nigeria. But they were using him to loot. So when it was Akeredolu's turn, he himself knew. Akeredolu had been told that his ailment is terminal because he had blood cancer. Are you getting my point? So the reasonable and principled position to take was to also hand over to his deputy. Even before he died, he could have just handed over, face his health. You know the interesting thing? Akeredolu too had been disabled. I don't want to say brain dead. Almost a year before he finally died. That flight he took from Germany where they claimed brought him to Ibadan, he never stepped on Ondo State soil before he died. Because they were also using him. Now, an Akeredolu Kaba holding Ondo State to ransom. Ondo State is our state. We cannot say because Akeredolu supported me at one time or the other. If he's doing something bad, I would support what is bad. And what would I have supported? Be with his wife and his son to be spending 7 billion naira, 20 billion naira of monies that that should have been done to be used for education on very spurious charges. That's what our brother is asking me to support. I can't in good conscience
We have another.
do that.
Good morning. Good morning. Your name, your location.
My name is Timothy.
All right, Timothy.
Thank you for bringing me
Thank you.
But I want to ask the question. Is it not that in so-called activists protesters are one of the major problems we have in Nigeria? I give you an example. In the days of Jonathan, when Jonathan was the president of the country, and the government made an attempt to group of people, you and others, including the school president now, went all out to say no. And protested them, did everything, and the government succumbed to your protest, and something was not good. Now, one of the that protested then, and that specific president of Nigeria now, brought to the president, and the one of the national effect of the and that is not of magic as Nigeria. How are we sure that even if Mr. Sowore becomes the president tomorrow, most of these things that he is fighting against, he will not do exactly. So, thank you.
All right. So let's take this so you can react to. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name, your location. All right.
If you want to start the protest, you should start the protest from Ondo State. Yes, because it's from Ondo State. You should start the protest from Ondo State. You should allow the protest from
All right. Thank you. So you can speak to.
Of course. It's a nationwide protest. It will start everywhere at once. Ondo State, Kogi State, Kano State, every state. There's going to be a nationwide. In fact, it's a global protest. There's also going to be one in New York at the same time. And I think the UK, people are planning protests there. So it will happen everywhere. The most important thing is for you guys to join everywhere too on October 1st until we win, like I said. So And what was the question of the first caller again? We've been here for a while, so I'm forgetting what did you ask. I'm just saying, just joggle my memory before the protester caller.
Okay, he said, how sure are we
that if I get
to power?
I wanted to say that the answer has been provided. When Jonathan removed fuel subsidy, I protested against it. I wasn't asked to protest against it by anybody. My first protest against removal of subsidy did not start with Jonathan. Again, this is why history is important. I started with Babangida. In fact, we did a Babangida must go protest in 1992 all over the country. That time, NAS was very vibrant. NAS of blessed memory. Because it's dead now.
We still have NAS now.
So the one they have now is the one that prints certificates for politicians. But so it's not the first time I protest. And again, the important thing is that I'm still against removal of subsidy now. So you cannot lump me with those who protest against subsidy for political gain. I've taken a position like this. This has been my position, consistent position for 30 years. I ran for office in 2023. I was the only candidate, and this is on record, who said I'm not going to remove subsidy because I know that it will cause hardship and economic dislocation in the country. I don't need to go to the London School of Economics to know that what is happening now will happen if you remove subsidy. Reason is that every country in the world subsidizes people. The American government subsidizes farmers. They subsidize the airline industry. They subsidize students. In fact, the student loan culture that we are bringing here in America is trying to get rid of it. Because when students take loan to go to school, it causes them untold distress to pay back the loans. America, Biden has been trying to get rid of student loans because it has become a major economic problem for graduates in their country. So we cannot say that because Tinubu protested against Jonathan, I'll be like Tinubu. No, I've never been like Tinubu. I've never been like them because I don't believe even in them. I've always charted a different course, and I have available to public information to show where I've stood since I was a national figure in this country in 1992. Because 1992 was the year I was elected as the president of the Student Union at the University of Lagos, and I never looked back. So you can check my history. There's no reason to lump me together with them. And the fact that even as at now, I'm against them, against these economic policies, should show to you who I am very clearly, where I stand.
All right. We have another caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Your name, please, and your location. All right. Thanks for calling back. Do you mean something else aside protest? You mean we should plan something else aside protest? Not necessarily protesting. Okay. 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 All right. Amen. Do you agree?
He has suggested his own method of protesting.
Mm.
And that's quite legit. And he said people should sit at home. But by the nature of the protest that is being planned, some people will sit at home and some people will go out. And but the problem with sit at home for 3 days is that the Nigerian economy is very informal. Almost 90% of our people have to go out before they can feed. That protest is ideal for societies where people actually have like real stable source of income, like jobs. So you know that if you sit at home for 3 days, you can use protest as an excuse not to come to work. You still get paid because you didn't cause it. But if you do protest for 1 day in Nigeria, people are home, they are hungry, you will become the food for the people you are fighting for when they are hungry and they want to go and live. Already people are hungry. So what is then reasonable is direct action. I think it's fair that the government will come and hurt people. But the best way to prevent that is numbers. Everybody to come out. And I can tell you that all the security forces in Nigeria, they are not up to 1 million people of them. All the security forces. Police, 350,000 people. Army, 150,000. Navy is about 20,000. The Air Force is about 15,000. DSS is less than 10,000. The Civil Defense is about 10. If you combine all of them, they're not up to 1 million. Or maybe less than that. And all the civil servants in Nigeria are about 2 million. Yes. So if all of them even have guns, they cannot handle 50 million people if they come out. That is what it is. And they have provoked Nigerian people enough. They have oppressed them enough. You see, one thing I should warn, which is important, is that we might be the last set of people in this country who will be asking for peaceful protest. Because those who discourage peaceful action are calling for the opposite of it. Because you can't put down the Nigerian people forever. China is an example. China has the biggest military in the world, and they have used it against their people for a long time. But at the point the leaders of China knew that guns cannot solve the problem of their people, they started an economic reform that has produced some of the best products in the world today. And that China became, now I think they're the largest economy in the world because America is just claiming to have large economy. America is the most indebted country in the world, while China has, they have a very huge economic fortune. And you know what they did? They started building apartments for everyone. Now they have in Beijing and several cities, what do you call it? Empty apartments, nobody to stay inside of them. Because they realized that you can't kill everybody. And they started taking care of their people. They have some of the best transportation in the world. They have bullet trains, that can shoot they will take you from here to Lagos if you're in China. In 20 minutes on the train, you'll be in Lagos. Between here and Abuja, a train will take you in 1 hour maximum. To Kano, it will be 1.5 hours. They have engaged their people to do work. When they don't have work for people in their country, they will ship their people to, if China gives you a contract now in Ondo State, so they give you money to build the road, they will bring Chinese people to come and do the work. Because they understand that If people don't have jobs, you cannot suppress them with ammunition and arms. It's not possible. And that's where Nigeria is headed. All this conversation we are still having is because we are reasonable people.
It's
I'm
okay.
telling you, when the hungry people really are ready, nobody can wait.
All right. Thank you.
Not
Thank
even
you.
the army, the police, because the police and army themselves are hungry.
All right. We have to go on this program today, and I want to say a big thank you to you for coming on Point Blank this morning, Mr. Omoyele Sowore.
Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for the opportunity to share our ideas and time with you this morning. And we also want to thank your callers and those who have participated meticulously, particularly Baba Timothy, who had to call twice.
Okay,
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone.
all right, dear listener, we've come to the end of Point Blank today.
Nigeria, they use computer. The leaders of Nigeria, they use radio where they turn the knob.